and Kerry face Westmeath in their Division 1 game this Sunday, needing a win to avoid relegation. While 10 weeks from the start of their All-Ireland Championship campaign, Limerick's Camogie side are looking for a new manager. John Toohey confirming his resignation earlier, citing work commitments as his reason. Limerick opened their Championship campaign with a Group 1 game against Kilkenny. That's on June the 9th, Joe.
Richie, thank you.
The Football Show on Off the Ball.
Brought to you by the Boyle Sports app. Cash out and in-play betting available in the App Store and Google Play Store.
I'm prepared to do anything I can to play for my country again.
Do it then. What about your start to the game?
It wasn't bad, was it?
Why should an honest answer be a mistake?
How can a modern day manager not have a mobile phone?
Why should he?
Martin Lipton will be our guest on the Football Show this evening as we ask him if England are losing track of a new breed of hooligan types who are going to far-flung places and to the likes of Amsterdam and getting themselves in trouble. So we'll talk to Martin very shortly. And then Kevin Kilban will run us through his 6 down to 1 of top 10 favourite stadiums to play at, which is, well, I know you're excited, Kev.
Yeah. Anticipation all day. Honestly, I've been thinking about this one.
No, it's the big one. It's the one the listeners have been waiting for as well. So there's live football on in the meantime. Spain 2, Argentina 1.
Argentina just scored, just as you were just reading there, Joe. But actually a mistake from David De Gea. Corner comes in from the left hand side, in swinger, and Nicolas Otamendi downward header. Probably should have done better. David De Gea should have saved it, but yeah, it's now Spain 2, Argentina 1.
So we touched on Mick McCarthy last night. I do want to get to this before we get into Martin Lipton. Mick McCarthy is under pressure at Ipswich. Many people feel he's done a very good job, really, when you look at things. So Mick's 59 now, believe it or not, and he's been at Portman Road for 6 years. Marcus Evans, the owner, seems to like him. When Mick took over, they were bottom of the Championship in 2012, brought them to the playoff 2 seasons later. They're now 10 points off the top 6. They're in 12th, and it would seem over the last 2, 3, maybe even 4 years, the fans have been not so sure about Mick. At certain points he said, I don't really care, nothing I can do about it. So it seems his contract's up this summer and it's not looking great for him.
Yeah, the contract's up. There's a lot of uncertainty within the club as to what's going to happen next year. It will Mick stay on, as you said. You rightly say there, he's got a great relationship with Marcus Evans. I think Marcus Evans has been very happy with the job that he's done given the budget that Mick's got, but the supporters feel as though that the club is a little bit rudderless at the moment, and they feel as though they need to change direction. And I think you look at it overall and you see, we spoke about the budget, they've got 7 loan players at the club. They have 7 loan players. So you look at it like that, you know that it's a club that's kind of, players are coming and going probably constantly. They need to try and reinforce the squad with loan players that's come into the place.
Not building to a vision.
Exactly. You know for a fact where your trouble lies straight away. They're sitting 12th at the moment. They're 10 points off the playoffs. Middlesbrough in 6th at the moment. And there has been a certain swing over the last year or two. There's been a certain amount of negativity towards Mick McCarthy. But I mean, I read today there was a piece. He sat down for an interview just prior to the last defeat against Bristol City. They lost the last 2 home games actually against Hull City and Bristol City. Actually, that was the one thing that's going to. Sorry, it was away up against Bristol City, but it was more the home defeat. They got lost to Hull City, which was almost as if that was kind of where it reached a point where there was almost like no coming back for Mick, I suppose, from it. And he sat down for an interview with Stuart Wilson from the East Anglian Daily Times. And I've read through that today. The tone of the interview I don't feel is great. You can almost feel Mick when you being in Mick's shoes when the questions are actually being put to him. That you can feel Mick getting angry, or you know what, knowing Mick, knowing what he's like with the sort of questions that were being put to him in this interview, you can just I can imagine Mick probably with a few sarcastic tones within that as well.
Yeah, he wouldn't suffer fools. So the interview is done in transcript form, so you get to actually see the questions.
Yeah.
So maybe give us a flavour of what kind of way the wind is blowing here for Mick.
Yeah, well, to be fair to the last Stuart Wilson, I think what he's tried to do, I think he's tried to maybe take on board a lot of the fans' frustration, should I say? Yeah, and he's Mick's answer. Even when we spoke to him last summer, something that sticks in my head. I think you'd asked him a question about, look, why do you keep doing it? And you've been getting a bit of stick here at Ipswich. He went, look, I don't care about that. I want to. I can sleep easy. I can go well. And that was pretty much the question. One of the questions that was actually put to him: do you actually care? Do you actually not care what the fans think? And I can imagine being asked that question, knowing Mick, because Mick does. Mick is he's one of the most honest guys you could meet,
yeah.
And he genuinely, of course, he's strong-willed. He had to be strong-willed over the years, given what's been thrown at him. But he would feel it. Of course, he's going to feel the criticism that he's been receiving. And when you're getting asked that question, Derek, do you actually not care what people think about you, Mick, your football club and things? And it's like, yeah, of course I do.
It's deliberately provocative.
Yes, it was. It was very much along.
So, what other questions? Give us your favourite. The ones, because I can imagine Mick sitting here having to listen to this guy.
Yeah, well, I mean, the one thing as well that stood out to me as well was one. It's more around his future. Mick has spoke about the fact is that, look, I've got my contract at the end of the season. I can't change that. It's not. We haven't actually sat down to discuss what's going to happen yet. The owner, Marcus Evans, hasn't actually told me what it would be. So the question was put to me, so you can understand why he's kept his powder dry in relation to Marcus Evans, in relation to speaking about your future. Basically, no words coming out from up above Mick. So he said, we had this discussion before Christmas. I said at the time, you're going to have to wait and see. So Mick's quite right. All Mick's doing here at the moment, Mick can't do anything more. And his answer was, which I thought was pretty good within this one. He said, look, if I'd have turned around and said I wasn't going to stay, I wonder how it would have affected the whole place. I'm not going to compare myself to Sir Alex Ferguson, but at the time when he told, originally when he was going to retire, he told everyone he was going to retire. Suddenly players looked like they were downing tools and didn't play anymore. The following season he stayed and they won the league.
Your lame duck manager is the point.
Yeah, exactly. He knows full well how a dressing room would react if he actually announces he's going to leave at the end of the season. He may well leave, I don't know, but as I said, you said before, as well, we were saying before, Marcus Evans appreciates the job that he's done. He knows full well how good a job Mick has done there.
Were there any other questions? Because it's quite a long interview.
There's so much. Another one that stood out as well. You said before that you sense managers have a shelf life at clubs. Do you think it's just a matter of reaching its natural end? Oh. Again, can you imagine that? Like, so, and of course, what could Mick say? Maybe, but the natural end will end at the end of the season when my contract runs out. I think Mick, you can again feel that frustration because he's constantly answering the same question. I wasn't going to walk away from a contract last year. Why should I walk away from work and start looking for something else when he's got another year in his contract? As I've said, I've completed my end of the bargain. I haven't changed my way. Since we won the first 5 league games of the season when we were scoring for fun, I haven't changed at all. I'm still completing my end of the bargain, which is my contract. That's the sort of thing that would rile him as well. You know, when you get in, and you can well imagine, we can well imagine. There have been something as well that he's not been happy with. Something young England _19 player Tristan Nydam that was being given a bit of stick as well, and I think that knocked him as well. It's Mick basically saying, look, I've never felt an atmosphere like it was on Tuesday night. I've had more than hostile atmospheres, which he has. Mick's had his fair share of stick at both Stoke and Wolves, but that was complete apathy. I don't think there was any respect for the players, particularly this youngster. And I think then you start to look at it across the board, and Mick's kind of saying, look, give me stick all you want, but you've got lads there, particularly young lads, that are trying to make the way in the game, and these lads are getting stick, and it's just not on. And it
doesn't sound good, Kev.
It does seem, doesn't it, when you're looking at the bigger picture, that this might not necessarily be a long-term plan or beyond this season for Mick McCarthy anyway.
I wondered if him and the journalists get a photo afterwards for the website.
I can't see it. I can't
Make one
see
for
it
the
somehow.
website?
Yeah, I can't see that somehow.
Let's go to Martin Lipton then, who's standing by, Deputy Head of Sport at The Sun. Evening, Martin.
Good evening.
So, England fans in Amsterdam, 100 of them arrested. How poor or otherwise was their behaviour in so much as the English media have been able to ascertain?
Well, look, I mean, unfortunately, there is a group of people who nominally follow, perhaps, disgust and degrade England on a regular basis. For me, they are the worst excesses of British culture. They are Friday night on the beer lunatics who, if they did that at home, would probably get locked up by the old bill, and they think that being out of the country gives them the green light to behave even worse, and I'm sickened by it. It wasn't the sort of horrendous stuff we saw, say, 15, 18 years ago in the Euros in Charleroi, mass rioting. It was just disgraceful, unpleasant behaviour, the sort of pathetic behaviour that people use. Group mentality gives them they think the right to do it because they're not going to get told off by anybody. They're not going to get hauled over the coals. The worst they'll get is 20 minutes overnight in a cell. But it doesn't mean it's acceptable. It's far from it, and I'm sick to the back seat of having to see it.
Well, yeah, okay. So it seems like clearly it must be a new generation doing this. The general trend seems to be they'll camp up somewhere now. They'll hang flags everywhere. They'll sing the most provocative songs they can. They'll try and provoke the locals. They'll do it for hours if needs be. And when something kicks off, they may claim to be victims. That's definitely one of the trends here.
Well, certainly they were all playing the innocent, weren't they, in Marseille a couple of years ago? And that's why I don't think that any of them will go to Russia, because actually they're cowards. They think they're hard when there's 100 of them, and they come on and they look appalling, and then they actually realise what real hard men are, and they run a million miles as they did, and it's all outrageous and it's not fair, and we were just innocent fans enjoying ourselves. Utter rubbish, I'm afraid. Some of them, yes, were innocent victims in Marseille, but why did it happen? Because of the behaviour of too many of them in the past. As I said, the positive for me, and it's an awful thing to have said, the positive is that it probably won't happen in the World Cup, because none of them will have the courage, as it were, to go, because they'll be terrified of actually meeting real hard men. And let's be honest, the Russians are not particularly nice.
Martin, I just saw Gareth Southgate hasn't been he's been quite critical of the English support. He'd said recently about they need to get their own house in order before we can actually start looking to Russia and maybe the problems that they might have out there in Russia. But Henry Winter wrote a piece today in the Times, and he's going along the lines of that. Yes, Gareth Southgate, coming out is great, but the players should do more. The players should be coming out and condemning the supporters as well. Do you buy that? Do you think that there is a certain element that the players should be coming out and starting to maybe have a pop here and there? Do you think that should be the case?
Well, the thing is, unless they all do it as a unit, then anyone who does is likely to become a victim of the idiot. Yeah. And get booed onto the park, and that's no good for anyone, because it starts to make it harder. And let's be honest, the ones who you want to do it would have to be you'd need Harry Kane. You'd need to have the stronger characters who are going to not worry about a bit of stick, because they're good enough players. So I think, and he's not there at the moment, but I think that at some point in the build-up to the tournament, that will be expected, or at least wanted of some of the England players, particularly the senior players, the bigger names. But I wouldn't want, James Tarkowski or Nick Pope on his first squad appearance to have to come up and front up. I think that'd be wrong. And I'm afraid I wouldn't ideally, given the racial background, shall we say, of a lot of these supporters, I don't think it'd be very good if a black player did it, because that would just make the worst excesses of some of those fans worse. Yeah,
it does seem like post-Brexit, more aggressive type of nationalism has returned in some respects.
That's across Europe, though, isn't it? If we're going to take a sort of a geopolitical view.
It's a fair point.
It's not just England. It's in France. It's in Germany with the AfD. It's in Holland as well, where there had a huge upswing in the right of centre vote. It's in Italy, where Five Star and the Liga Nord were. It isn't just an English-British thing.
No, that's a fair point.
It's a Western European thing. I mean, I don't often
fair point,
wear my political hat, but on this occasion, I think you can.
It's certainly emboldened them, though,
Oh, and also it's Trump and nativism, isn't it? I'm afraid it's to say it appears to. Yes, I think that there are one or two of them who have seen Brexit as the justification for their worst xenophobic instincts. I'm afraid, and that is really a shame, because that's not what the country should be about, in my view. But I would say that, wouldn't I? I'm liberal elite, so therefore what my view is doesn't matter.
Kev mentioned Gareth Southgate. I did think, to his credit, he spoke very well about, if we're going to talk about Russia, we need to get our own house in order. So this stemmed from in the last week or so, there was a photograph of the English under-16 team, and underneath there were just an avalanche of terrible comments saying, is this England or Senegal, and looks more like Nigeria, and 7 black players in the team, ha ha ha. This kind of absolutely abhorrent stuff under an under-16 English team. And Gareth Southgate came out very strongly, called it disgusting, and made the point, we can talk about Russia all we want, actually our own country is not in a good state. What did you make of Southgate's intervention?
Absolutely correct, 100%, and I'm delighted to see it. Look, I've known Gareth for a very long time, probably longer than most people, just because I was his ghostwriter in Euro 96.
Right.
And I've always, whenever people ask me about Gareth, and I get people told how he's a soft, and he's a patsy, and he's a yes man, and and Kevin will know, nothing could be further from the truth. He's a very, very intelligent and strong-willed and determined fella who is not scared to upset people if he thinks something is wrong or in support of something that he believes is right. And this was exactly it. He could have hidden away from it. I know other England managers of the recent past who would have done. He was more than happy to confront the issue head-on and make it clear where he stood and what he felt. And I think that's all to the better for him, and it's all to the good for English football when you've got a leader and a manager who's willing to go that far.
His exact quotes, for people who didn't see them, were, I don't think we should just be talking about racism in Russia. We've got to get our house in order as well. There are things going on in our own country that aren't correct. We keep pointing the finger at Russia. Where are we going to be guests in the next couple of months? But we haven't resolved the issue in our own country. Until we do, I think we should stop firing off those things elsewhere. So they were his exact comments, as well as using the word disgusting. You mentioned like 98, the water cannons, everybody I think remembers very well, in France back in the World Cup in 98, and then Euro 2000 there were 945 fans arrested, and UEFA considered expelling England from the tournament. Probably not very seriously, but they considered it.
Oh no, they were very serious.
Were they?
The FA were terrified. I remember the press conference on the steps of the England Media Hotel in Spa, and they were genuinely fearful of being thrown out and sent home before the final group game. It was a really serious concern at the highest level of the FA.
Okay, I hadn't realised that. But then you look since then. So 2004, those European Championships in Portugal, they're relatively trouble-free for England fans. There were only 53 arrests. Then you go into the World Cup in 2006, 14 England fans arrested in Cologne in the 2006 World Cup in Germany. 2010 World Cup, no football-related arrests in South Africa. And 2014 in Brazil was relatively fine as well. There were clashes in one game between English and Brazilian fans, but effectively 14 was fine as well. And so 2016 we've touched upon in Marseille, and Russian fans were involved there as well. So like is this marking, is 2016 swinging into this post-Brexit era and what we've had in Amsterdam, is this marking a return to something approaching the bad old days? Is it a blip? Is there a new generation that authorities aren't aware of? Or what's your read on what's going on, Martin?
I think it would be wrong to go into hyperbole here and say that we're back in 98 territory, which we're not. What is the case is that a lot of the banning orders which were imposed in the immediate aftermath of Euro 2000 have lapsed.
Right.
But there's also a new generation of idiots, unfortunately, who are following the England team. And as I said, one of the reasons it happened in England playing in Amsterdam on a Friday night was mind-blowingly stupid. Simple as that. I can't believe how stupid the FA were to countenance playing the game. If they're going to play it on a Friday night in Holland, play it in Eindhoven or play it in Rotterdam, not in Amsterdam. But that's another issue. It doesn't excuse the behaviour. It's just bonkersly stupid. The other thing is it was the only chance some of them were going to get this year to be idiots.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to go to Russia because they're cowards. And England's only other away game this year that they can get to is in November in Spain, because the game in Croatia in October is to be played behind closed doors. So, because of the behaviour, the racism of the Croatian fans. So we have a situation where for quite a few of them, this was their one hit, and my word, they had a hit at it.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like, let's be honest, it wasn't as bad. It was ugly, it was horrible, it was embarrassing. It was the sort of behaviour that only drunken thugs participate in, but it was brainless and brainless sort of stupidity. Nobody really was harmed. It was just them being idiots, being vile human beings. But it's not the sort of thing we saw in the past where there was genuine physical danger to people. I don't think we saw that in Amsterdam.
Yeah, Martin, I just want to make one last point, I suppose, on it. See, I go to a lot of Premier League games up and down England, and I'm doing a lot of travelling on tubes. I'm doing a lot of travelling on trains whenever I'm going, and I rarely see now, from this is how I would view it anyway, my travelling, the trouble that maybe I would have seen when I would have been even going to watch Preston in the 80s when I was a young boy. I don't really see it as much now. Now, is that the Premier League that have done a good job, or the Premier League clubs that have done a good job, that the FA can't control the element of their supporters? Is that the case that I'm seeing, or is there still that element across the board that we're still seeing this trouble at games across the UK?
I think there are elements of areas where you can get in public transport and feel an underlying edge at certain occasions, but it's not wholesale. Look at the flags of those supporters in Amsterdam. Look at the towns they were hailing from. They weren't flags of Liverpool and Manchester United and Tottenham and Arsenal. They were fans of Gaul and Earthlingborough and Northampton. And so England is their chance to go.
And see the better quality of players, yeah.
England is their club. It's their away day. And so that is it. It's not like, if you're a Man United fan, there'll be the odd United fan or Spurs fan or Liverpool fan or Arsenal fan who goes to England. I reckon they'll be in a minority, very, relatively. The majority of fans of big clubs, the club is all that matters. They want England to win, but they're Spurs fans, they're United fans, they're not England fans. People who go to watch England tend to be England fans who may have a lower division club, but England is their big thing because it's their chance to go out and show people things, shall we say.
Yeah. Okay. And one last quick point on matters on the pitch. They obviously beat Holland that evening. Jesse Lingard scored the goal, and they're 1-0 up again this evening at home to Italy thanks to Jamie Vardy. Will this drive the hype machine into overdrive now, England for the World Cup, Martin?
No. Quarterfinals, I'll be happy with that.
You always say that. Will everyone else lose the run of themselves?
No, I don't think so, because I think we've looked at, look at Brazil, look at France tonight, look at Spain. Although I have to say that this appalling Dutch team who were absolutely useless, and why did we only beat them 1-0 when they're the worst Dutch team in living memory, just spanked Portugal 3-0, so they can't be that bad, because Portugal are European champions last time I saw. But England are reasonable. I think I like the way they're trying to play. There's a progression about the style of football that they're trying to impose at the moment, which I like. But realistically, they're a million miles off winning the damn thing. So why do we? No, I don't think anyone in their right mind would kid themselves that they're potential winners.
Okay, Martin Lipton, thanks for that as ever.
Thanks, Martin.
Cheers.
Martin Lipton there.
Football on Off the Ball.
Brought to you by the Boyle Sports app. Cash out and in-play betting available in the App Store and Google Play Store.
Moncrief.
Gonna take a break after that? If you've a fear of flying, what do you need? A miniature horse. After that, the haunted doll of Wagga Wagga. After that, the black man with a white penis. After that, a chap in California who says he communicates regularly with dolphins telepathically. After that, something to celebrate the royal wedding. Condoms.
Moncrief.
With Gas Networks Ireland.
Weekdays from 2 p.m. on News Talk.
We're all off to worship Satan. Back in a couple of minutes.
There's a place for jumping through hoops. It's called a circus. Applying for a low-cost personal loan, on the other hand, should be far more straightforward. Some lenders want you to open a new bank account, make a deposit, or be a shareholder. But with Avantcard's lowest ever loan rate, there's no song and dance and no strings attached. Say hi to a new low. Visit avantcard.ie and apply today. Now, doesn't that deserve a round of applause?
Lending criteria, terms and conditions apply. Rates are correct as of 23rd of February 2018 and are subject to change. Avantcard DAC trading as Avantcard is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Enjoy an award-winning Easter at M&S. We've been voted the best for our luxury hot cross buns, the best for our simnel cake, and the best for our show-stopping Belgian chocolate egg. Come and see why the judges were so impressed. M&S. Spend it well. Subject to availability, selected stores only.
I was looking for a dip in the pool weekend with luxurious organic treatments. And then I found
Tea for Two by a Crackling Fire.
And a wrapped-up woodland walk, watching hawks dip and soar, and
a crisp king duvet, homemade flapjacks, and I wondered...
Faith leg, where have you been all my life?
Whatever you're looking for, find something you weren't. Like great value midweek and weekend specials at fabulous Faith Leg Waterford.
faithleg.com. Let it draw you in.
Off the Ball. This is News Talk.
You're welcome, Maxwell. I'll run you through some of the headline scores. Most importantly, in the European Under-21 qualification Group 5 state of affairs, Ireland Under-21s have beaten Azerbaijan by 1-0 at home in Tala this evening. And the goal came very late on. Ryan Sweeney, 5-6 minutes into added time.
Massive.
The winner
it's a big
for
one.
Ireland.
It is a big one, Joe. Particularly with Joe. With Germany. Richie was talking about it early. They drew in Kosovo tonight. Germany are top of that group, so there is possible qualification within second spot, but it's outright by topping the group. We have to play Germany home and away now, but that is massive. That is a huge result. Yeah, it really is.
Right, okay, good stuff. Elsewhere in the friendlies this evening, we have Spain leading Argentina 2-1. Half-time done. Second half has just started. England 1-0 up on Italy still in the 76th minute. Brazil are still 1-0 up. Revenge, Kev, for 2014 against Germany, 1-0. And what other results might be of interest to you? Switzerland have beaten Panama 6-0.
Well, I think that was one, because I think they are actually in England's group, aren't they, Panama? So that shows where they are, doesn't it? Switzerland, and not a free-flowing, really truly attacking side.
Cut you open,
to beat you 6-0. So that's a dreadful result, really.
Scotland were 1-0 winners away to Hungary, which is not a bad result. And France beat Russia 3-1. Pogba with a brilliant free kick in that game. Belgium 4-0 winners over Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, Lukaku with a couple of goals tonight. I think De Bruyne scored as well, so that was a big result for them. Again, they should be beating Saudi Arabia, shouldn't they?
Yes, you would think so. Hey, we beat them.
Come on, Joe. Different era now.
Sure was. So, exciting times, Kev. You've done your top 10 stadiums.
Yeah.
But we only got as far as number 7.
Yeah.
So, we are going to complete this evening, come hell or high water. We don't have that much time.
We've got enough time.
You're going to have to be concise. You're going to have to hit the key points on each stadium and hit them well.
Yeah.
So, number 10 Anfield, number 9 Old Trafford, number 8 Celtic Park, number 7 Goodison. Your number 6 stadium, Kev, was Giants Stadium.
Giants Stadium, yes. Yeah.
Where did you play there?
Played there twice. I played there. It was just more the iconic stadium to play at. Played there in 2000 against South Africa. It was a roasting hot day as well in New Jersey, unbelievably hot. I think we ended up winning the game 2-1. Actually, we ended up winning, and then I played on the tour. Was it 06? I think 07. I think it'd be right under Steve Staunton. I played there in that tour when I captained the side actually in Giant Stadium. So that was quite nice for me. I think that was against Ecuador. So it was nice to play at such a famous stadium from around the world. So that was extremely nice for me from a personal point of view to captain the side. Yeah.
So this is a personal reason as opposed to the stadium being particularly...
Well, do you know what it was? It was the stadium, it was just how vast it was. There must have been about 20 changing rooms in the stadium as well. You go to the stadiums that we would be familiar with ourselves, you might get 4 maximum, 2, 2 would be the norm. And then this stadium just had so many different changing areas. It had so many. It was so big underneath the actual arena itself as well that you're having to walk back to the changing room. It seemed like you're walking forever to get back to the dressing area. So it was just. I think it was more the stadium itself, and actually playing in Giant Stadium, playing in America. So I think that was kind of how it resonated with me a little bit, I suppose. Really.
Okay, I'll accept Giant Stadium in your top 10.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
thanks.
Sean Donlan, by the way, was the guy with the goal. So Sweeney did not get the goal. It was very much Sean Donlan for the Irish under-21s. So Anfield, Old Trafford, Celtic Park, Goodison, Giants Stadium. We are now into your top 5 stadiums that you have played at ever. Yeah. Number 5, Amsterdam Arena. Kevin.
Yeah, well, that was it was fairly new. It was quite a modern stadium when we played there in 2000 again. It wasn't long after I've just played there in Giant Stadium.
For people streaming, there's a great picture up now of you and the Dutch team standing for the anthems. It does look amazing, actually. That roof is fantastic.
It was class. I remember from
clear glass. Is that glass roof?
Yeah, but it was
an incompleted roof.
The roof was open for that game. Actually, when we played that game that night, the roof was open because it was lashing down, and it was almost as if the rain just didn't go anywhere outside the pitch. It just seemed to just hit the pitch that night, so that it was lashing with rain. And it was something.
You don't want the fans getting wet, Kevin.
Well, exactly.
You're a man of the people.
Exactly. We drew 2-2. Should have won the game.
Is that the night where you were all celebrating except for Roy Keane?
No, we weren't celebrating.
That's how Roy would have it.
You hear these stories.
That's how Roy would spin it, I think.
Honestly, you hear these stories. You weren't celebrating.
Cock a hoop.
No, we knew we'd had a decent result, but we came in. I felt as though I won one of my best ever games. Certainly in a natural position.
We talk about later.
No, that was different. I should have scored. Missed a good chance in the game.
You said you did quite well in. Turkey away with Tony Cascarino. That was another one of your good games.
2 games. It's only 2 games, Joe.
2 out of 140. What's the percentage?
Yeah, there you go. That probably says it all.
So is this because the stadium was very good, or is it because you drew 2-2 with Holland?
No, it was new stadium. It was brand new. It was different from anything I'd ever seen.
Right.
So to get to the stadium, it was this. Have you been to it?
No.
Have you seen the one in Paris?
Don't say Stade de France.
No, you seen, but like you know how it's very, very different from how the modern or the old style stadiums that I would have been used to playing at. All of a sudden, you're in this brand new stadium, this new stadium in the middle of.
As in because it's circular as opposed to stands.
Just very different.
Is it similar to Stade de France?
Very different.
As in, like it's just one big kind of bowl. Almost.
Yeah, a little bit like that. That's what we're saying. It's very similar to that one. Cities is probably something similar to it as well. Man City's the Etihad's a little bit similar. That's what reminded me when Cities then came out not long after that, and then you get. To play in that was just something very, very different.
Okay,
and
I'll accept that.
Of course, the result, but it was just the stadium. Well, there's one or two that you might not accept, and that's what it is. And now that's why you're saying you'll accept it. Of course, you'll accept it because the stadium was unbelievable when we first played there. Yeah,
I didn't realise it was such a nice stadium. Was it still be nice by today's standards?
I've not been in the last few years actually, so I don't know, but I would imagine so.
Stade de France has aged very well.
Yeah,
I'm disappointed. I know I'm giving away a bit of a spoiler here. I'm shocked and disappointed. Stade de France is not in your top 10.
Yeah,
I just think that's the business.
I forgot about it.
Bloody hell.
I forgot, but he probably would have made it. It probably would have made the top 10. Yeah,
it's better than Goodison.
No, it's not. It's not.
Right.
And you're asking me my favourite, aren't you? You're asking me my favourite grounds as well.
It's very subjective. Yeah.
Yeah.
White Hart Lane is number 4.
White Hart Lane. It's the first ground I ever played at. First Premier League ground I played at with under the lights with a crowd. I was at Preston North End, and it was just very special. I actually played against Stephen Carr the night I played there. Actually, Stephen Carr had made his debut, had been out the side for a while and came back in.
Is that one of your better games as well?
I did okay. I did all right. But like that night, they had Sol Campbell, Teddy Sheringham playing, Darren Anderton. It was a really good side, really good Tottenham side. And again, I was in League One, I think at the time. It was Division 2 as it was at Preston, and to play at a Premier League ground under the lights, as I said, in the cup, it was great.
It's certainly very tight ground.
Yeah,
atmospheric,
brilliant.
Bit of an old school ground as well.
Loved it,
and even the camera position was brilliant. You're very on top of the pitch. Like we touched on Anfield and the dressing rooms being cramped and old school. It was
very much that way.
White Hart Lane, a bit old school.
Very much so. The commentary position at when you commentate there now with Nathan and the lads, how it was obviously the changing for next season. But you're right behind the dugout, literally right behind the dugout. So you can actually just touch the heads of the players when they're walking by you in the tunnel. It's an amazing ground. You walk down the tunnel, then to the right hand side, which would be the away dressing room. Very cramped, very tight, no room. As you well imagine how it would be, but it's fantastic. Yeah, it's a great place.
It had that quirky thing as well when they would show replays from angles where the camera might be in the corner of the stadium, where there'd be poles from the roof,
just like Goodison,
in your way,
exactly like Goodison.
It's lovely.
Yeah,
I missed that.
It is great.
Okay.
It is great.
White Hart Lane, we like, and the atmosphere was always pretty good there. I think because of the old school nature, it was tight and on the pitch.
Yeah, definitely.
Number 3.
Yeah. I think you've mixed these up for me a little bit as well, but no, number 3.
I've taken the email you sent.
Yeah, it changes every day.
Well, hang on. Are the 3 that we're about to reveal, are they the 3?
Yeah, they're the 3. Yeah,
and do you want to change order?
Oh no, I'll stick with how they go. And
why did you bring up that point?
I don't know, because I can't remember putting it in that order. That's all.
Oh dear. It's good to see you really put a lot of time into this.
I put a lot of time into it 2 weeks ago, and I forget what happens yesterday. Never mind 2 weeks ago.
Your number 3 stadium to play at is Croke Park.
Yeah, that was very close to being number 1.
Terrible atmosphere.
Yeah, it was a terrible atmosphere, but you know what? The reason why it's because of what it meant and what it even means now. Going back to watch games there now as well, we understood the
watching Mayo getting beaten.
I've seen Mayo win there more often than not, actually, Joe. So you're all right. But I think we understood the significance as a team when we were playing there against Wales in that first game. We understood what it meant. It was great that we actually won the game. Stephen Ireland scored, but we understood what it meant. And certainly, as I said before, we grew up certainly watching All Irelands, or certainly I did anyway, in our family, watching All Irelands at Croke Park, thinking, look, we used to drive past it when we were going into town at times, and you'd see that stand and that stadium on your left-hand side as you're driving into town. You're thinking, wow, I'd love to play at that stadium. I'd just love to play at that stadium, because you realised what it meant to the people of Ireland as well. So that was very special to play at that ground.
And it's certainly, I think
it wasn't a great atmosphere, I have to say that.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, state of the art in many respects. Like, I think a lot of people have got the stadium tour one way or another on a school tour or somehow. So the dressing rooms are lovely and it's all pristine and modern.
Compared to the old Lansdowne we were in, going there,
But the atmosphere never crankled there for whatever reason. Like, is it because the pitch was a bit smaller?
I think so. I think that's probably what it is. That's maybe
quite far away from.
Yeah, we had a few good nights. I remember the Italy game where we drew against Italy. Actually, we should have won the match. Sean St Ledger scored later on. I remember that night. It was bouncing really that night. And of course the Wales game again before, it was very special. Met Paul McGinley after that game, so it was quite nice for me as well. So that's another memory from Croker. But yeah, it's just the whole significance.
Paul McGinley.
Yeah,
it's not exactly.
Come on. Bloody hell.
It's not exactly Brad Pitt or something.
If you love your sport, then that's because you're talking to him every week. I'd never met Paul McGinley before.
Fair enough, sorry, okay.
Honestly, you're such a snob, you now. Honest to God, you are. Honest to God, you are a snob. Like, I'm just like, I'm a sport lover, and I'm saying, like, Paul McGinley's playing in Ryder Cups, and it's nice to meet him.
No, sure.
Honestly, I can't believe you're actually dismissing Paul McGinley out of hand.
I'm not dismissing him. I'm not, absolutely not. Okay, Croke Park. Yeah, that's interesting, because I wouldn't have thought you'd have fond memories, but you're having it up there.
No, we had great memories of playing that. I got my 100th cap in Croke Park as well. I've got a picture on my phone here now, you'll probably see it. That's my daughter there at Croke Park.
Is that right?
That's my two daughters, that's Elsie and Isla there. Took them onto the pitch after I got my 100th cap, and I can't see that on camera there, I suppose. It doesn't sound great on radio, but so that's what I have on the phone, so that's from Croke, yeah.
I'll accept that then. That's right up there. I would never have guessed number 2.
Well, yeah, again, it was a very different sort of stadium. It's Yokohama, playing in the World Cup, playing in a World Cup final stadium. That was just something. This stadium was absolutely huge. I think I'm right in saying it held about 80,000. Wow. It was, of course, where the famous World Cup final was from 2002 when Brazil beat Germany. And yeah, we beat Saudi Arabia 3-0 in that stadium.
It was that walk in the park game as well.
It was, you could take it in a little bit, really. It was very, very. It was a great stadium, great to play at, yes, but it was nice that we had one of the easier internationals, and given it was a World Cup game as well, so that was that was very nice.
One of our loveliest days of the World Cup in many respects.
Of course, Damien Duff with the little bow to the crowd.
Gary Breen goal.
Gary Breen, scoring.
Almost a moment where, I don't want to speak for you, but it would have seemed that you might have looked at each other and thought, well, whatever happens now, we're getting out of the group, and the Roy Keane thing won't destroy this completely for us. Bit of relief.
Do you know what? I think
if you tanked out of the group stages, the Roy Keane thing would have just taken over.
No, do you know what I was going to say there? I think I genuinely don't recall it being mentioned, but I think that would have been the subconscious thinking. If we had have, that could have been a disastrous result. We've had some bad results over the years. That could have been a bad one. I never felt in any trouble during the game, I have to say that. Yeah. But if it was and we go out, that would have been a disaster.
So Yokohama wasn't in any way soulless or too big or anything like that. It had a good atmosphere. It was good.
Yeah, it did have a good atmosphere.
It's your number 2 stadium here.
It did have a good atmosphere. It wasn't full when we played. There was loads of Irish at the game, but it wasn't full because obviously we're playing Saudi Arabia. It would have been great to see that stadium full to the rafters. That would have been great, but it wasn't that way. It wasn't that way. No. So,
so yeah, okay. Fair enough. It's going to host the World Cup final in the rugby next year.
Oh, right.
So get a look at it again.
Right, yeah. Oh, it is a fabulous stadium. It's a great stadium. It is, yeah.
Interesting. Still no Stade de France in this top 10?
No.
Number 1.
Number 1 is the one that you've dismissed out of hand, really. You've kind of mocked me for picking this stadium. But it's my favourite ground. It's the ground that I would have looked at as a boy growing up, and it would have been the one stadium. If you're going to give me one stadium, and to score one goal at the stadium would have been the ultimate for me as a lad growing up. So to play there once and play there many times like I did afterwards, it meant everything. It was Lansdowne Road. It was everything to me as a kid growing up. So it has to be Lansdowne. It was just, we had so many special nights there, so many special days there. And yeah, obviously people on radio can't see the pictures. People, if they're watching it online, when it was full like that.
Lansdowne Road.
When it was, I think it was Portugal that game. The atmosphere that we would have got for some of the matches, some of the big games there, just absolutely amazing, electric. And the one thing that always sticks in my mind as well, when Stefan Schwartz signed for Sunderland, he was at Sunderland. I think he was actually there when I signed. Actually, Stefan Schwartz said to me, "Do you lads still play at that stadium with the train running under the ground?" And he said, "Yeah, that's the one." But
did he like it?
No, I don't think he liked it. No.
See, incredibly atmospheric, and the train running by is lovely, and to be so close to the city centre is lovely. I ran out there once with mates at about midnight one night. We snuck out onto the pitch, right?
Yeah.
We couldn't get over how bloody windy it was, how terrible the grass was, the surface, and we were kind of going, this is a bit rubbish in some ways, like to play good football on.
Yeah, it was a bit like that, particularly when I first started as well. We always seemed to play around the rugby internationals as well, so they'd cut it up just before us, and then we always seemed to come on. And I remember one time they'd kind of like painted the sand green to try and make it look more presentable, I suppose. But it was home. It was home. And I think the results that we had there and against some of the... It was just amazing. It was amazing, some of the games that we had there. Some of the standout games sticking around, the Yugoslavia game. Even the Iran game, the Holland game, of course, that Portugal match. Some of those games were
red brick dressing room, low roof.
Amazing.
Very sweaty.
Yeah.
Small, cramped. You seem to like small, cramped, dark dressing
I do.
rooms.
I'm more traditional. I'm more old-fashioned. I love the old grounds. I love Goodison. I love White Hart Lane. I love Lansdowne. I do. And I'll name drop another one for you here. Larry Mullins used to come in from.
Now we're talking.
Yeah, now so Larry used to come in for the games. I love. Can I not like
nothing against him. I'm
not allowed to like him. I'll see.
I love the man. He's a legend.
But
Larry Mullins is now we're talking.
I was delighted to meet him after the game. He shook my hand, Paul McGinley was delighted. But Larry used to come in before games. Larry used to come in quite a lot. So
before competitive games?
Before competitive
into the
games,
dressing room?
Into the dressing room, yeah. And he used to come in, or even after as well. He used to come in after matches as well. If we've had decent results, he'd come in. So Mick Byrne, the physio, was quite close with Larry, so Larry'd ring him up. And Mick always used to say to us in the day of matches, Larry and Bono have been on to you, lads. Come on, boys. And lads used to go, yeah, right. Mick's full of it. But then Larry came in quite a few times. Yeah, he came in to see us.
Would he shake everyone's hand?
Oh, yeah, he used to go around and meet everyone. He loved it. He loved his football, so he used to come in and meet us all. Yeah, it was
wow.
Great. Yeah.
What kind of fellow was he? When
just a sound lad, just an absolute, just a good fella. Yeah, just.
Did many people come in like that?
I remember meeting Eddie Jordan once. Eddie Jordan would have come in, or that might have actually been in the players' lounge. No, very few came into the dressing room like that. We would have had a few. We would have had a few knocking around over the years. Yeah.
Right. Larry Mullen, one of the more regular dressing room visitors.
He used to come in. Yeah, a few times he came in. Yeah, I recall him coming in more than once. Yeah, definitely.
Bono ever pop in?
No, never Bono.
Just Larry Mullen.
No,
that's fine. No. That is brilliant.
Are you happy with that one? Then?
That's great. I didn't know that.
Yeah, there you go.
Fantastic. Okay, so your top 10: Anfield, Old Trafford, Celtic Park, Goodison, Giant Stadium, Amsterdam Arena, White Hart Lane, Croke Park, Yokohama, and number 1, Lansdowne Road.
But what's your memories? You must have unbelievable memories of Lansdowne Road yourself, though, going to watch games and because I'd never actually seen the team play at Lansdowne Road. I'd watched the team on television, and
I suppose, yeah,
because it was one of those stadiums that you'd see on TV, and you'd see some of the famous goals. I've been talking about it last week. I never actually mentioned it. Tony Cascarino's header against England. Things like this always stuck in my head as a boy growing up.
See, and maybe, quite possibly, I took it for granted, and you're far more patriotic than I am because you didn't grow up in the country.
Possibly, I don't know.
I would think.
Possibly. Yeah. I think there's an element of that. I think there is. I think it was almost as if it...
For me, it was just Lansdowne.
Yeah. Yeah, well...
For you, it was this mythical place on television land.
Yeah, exactly. And I wanted to play there, I said before, just once. It would have just taken just once playing there. So it was nice.
Get rid of you.
Nice to play a few times, yeah.
Okay, back in a second.
Off the ball on News Talk.
The following ad for appliances delivered will be attempted using no bad Easter puns. The Easter sale is now on at appliancesdelivered.ie with exceptional offers like up to 25% off washing machines and dishwashers, up to 35% off refrigeration and small appliances, and an exciting up to 50% off cooking appliances with next day delivery nationwide. So if you're looking for cracking deals, then check out the excellent the Easter sale now on at appliancesdelivered.ie. Why pay more?
After last year's record-breaking finale, the Guinness Pro 14 final is returning to Dublin this May. Don't miss your chance to witness one of rugby's biggest events, the Guinness Pro 14 final, Saturday, May 26th, Aviva Stadium, Dublin. Tickets available now from ticketmaster.ie.
11 people develop dementia in Ireland every day.
That could be people like our parents, colleagues, friends.
And people like me, who could be someone just like you.
Any one of us can get dementia.
Every one of us can make a difference by understanding more.
It's time to understand together. To stand together with the 500,000 people whose families have been affected by dementia. Visit understandtogether.ie or call 1-800-341-341 from the HSE and our partners.
Off the ball. This is News Talk.
I feel slightly guilty about the Paul McGinley laugh.
Quite right. You should as well.
It's more just I laughed at the notion of you coming across all these huge figures in the world of sport, not least Roy Keane in your own dressing room, and plenty more besides, being starstruck by McGinley.
I was starstruck even when I met Padraig Harrington. I met Padraig Harrington about 3 years ago, and I was a bit that way when I met him as well. And you just dismiss it as this.
I don't dismiss it.
You know,
Larry Mullen is now like what I'm talking about here. It's just that was your strongest memory of Lansdowne.
No, yeah, that was my strong. No,
I'm sorry. What was your strongest memory of Croker?
Our first game against Wales, because we had such a crowd there, because of that anticipation. And I remember I met him in the players' lounge after the game. Yeah, it was nice to meet him.
Who's the person that starstruck you in football when you met them?
In football,
yeah,
Paul McGrath.
Is that right?
Paul McGrath. Yeah.
Fair enough. Won't argue with that.
Yeah.
Won't laugh at that for 1 second.
Yeah.
So OTBAM Kev is live 7:45 tomorrow on YouTube, Periscope. Owen and Ger talking to Michael Meehan and Gareth A. Davies. We're watching the Spain-Argentina game come to a close, and Spain have given Argentina a bit of a kicking in the end. 4-1.
Yeah. I fancied them actually, Joe. I did. I think they were how they play. Argentina had a couple of chances early on. Higuain missed a great chance to put them 1-0 up, but Spain have dominated them. Yeah, they've just been too good with the ball. I think the movement off the ball has been so much better than the Argentines, and I think this is. I mean, I know they've not got Messi, and that's a big difference, isn't it? Of course, and the goal they actually scored was bad goalkeeping from David De Gea, but they'll be different with Messi. But you expect them to be
4-1.
Yeah.
Italy equalised late on against England. Insigne with the goal, so 1-1 at Wembley between England and Italy. 4-1 Argentina to Spain, as we're saying, Spain up there in that game, and Brazil won. Germany 0 is a full time in Germany revenge of sorts. So they're your main results. And the Irish under-21s beat Azerbaijan this evening with a late goal. Earlier tonight we asked you to tell us, what is the name of Sergio Garcia's baby daughter? The answer, I am sorry to say, is Azalea. Congratulations to Barry McCormack and Connor Hudson. Lads, you both won a 2-ball for our Off the Ball Golf Weekly Masters Preview Day at Lutterstown Castle Golf Club on the Wednesday before the Masters, 4th of April, I think. If you missed out tonight, we'll give you another chance to win tomorrow, when we'll also have Keith Andrews on the show. We will have Keith Wood on Wednesday Night Rugby, and as I mentioned, we'll have Brian Robson as well on the football show. Tom Dunn up next. Good luck.